Hello and welcome to our last DVHS GirlDevelopIt meeting of the semester. Today we'll be covering the basics of CSS. All right, so today we'll be quickly reviewing the HTML unit that we finished last meeting, and then we'll have a quick intro to CSS, including learning about the general format for the code and talking about different properties like font, color, text align, and other things that we can apply to text that we coded for in HTML. And then, as always, we'll have practice for you to utilize what techniques you learned today, and we'll also have a sample solution. So just a quick review, we learned about paragraphs that just have tags with a P. Headers can be further categorized by size, with 1 being the largest and 6 being the smallest. This is also useful if you want to have subtitles. And then italics in HTML are represented by M, which stands for emphasized, and bolded words have the strong tag. For links, you can use an href, which stands for a hypertext reference. And in the middle, you have the text that's hyperlinked, and then you close it with an A tag. Images have an img src link, and you can set the alt to be equal to whatever text you want to display if for some reason the image can't be loaded. Line breaks are coded with the BR tag and are really useful for poetry. And then lastly, we have lists and tables. Lists can be ordered by number with an OL tag or unordered by bullet points with a UL tag. And each list item is encoded for by the tag LI. For tables, you need to enclose your text with table tags. TH tags are for table headers, which bolds them, and then TR tags are for regular table rows. And then each table cell is encoded for by the tag TD. And that is basically a quick recap of the whole HTML unit we've been learning for the past few meetings. If you need more information about any of these syntaxes, you can always check out our previous videos where we go over the material more in depth. Here's a quick Kahoot review. We won't be playing it right now, but if you have time later, you're always welcome to try it. And then if you have any questions, you're also welcome to email us.
So what is CSS? CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets, and it's basically used in conjunction with HTML, but it does have a different syntax because it's a different language from HTML, so it's not the same. And if you recall from last semester or this semester, but earlier on, HTML is just a structure with plain text, images, links, lists, and tables. So there's really no design elements. So right now our websites are pretty bland. So that's where CSS comes in, and you can decorate your website to make it a lot more interesting and creative. CSS codes for all colored text, their position, and their size. For example, on this page, it makes the who we are description aligned in the center and color codes the other text on the page to make it engaging to anyone who visits the site. And without it, the text on the page would just be all in black and white and pretty boring and just lumped together instead of this organized and appealing format.
So most CSS code follows this format. Basically, you have the selector, in this case, the body, that tells the computer what this piece of code pertains to. Inside the curly braces, you can specify a property, in this case, color, with a value, which in this case is the hexadecimal 333333, which is some dark grayish shade. You won't normally do hexadecimals, and we'll cover RGB in a later lesson. But CSS also has built-in colors. So if you just put the color is blue, it'll still work out fine. And then don't forget to close off this with a semicolon. And this whole thing right here is called a declaration. And then within the curly braces, you can have multiple declarations, and they'll all apply to the selector you specified.
So moving on to CSS properties. So CSS properties have really self-explanatory names, and like you can see on the slide, there's background color, font family, font size, color width, height. So they're pretty self-explanatory and they make it easy to remember when you're working on making a website. And when we release the presentation later, you can access the QR code, or while you're watching the video right now, you can scan it with your phone and it'll direct you to a longer list of CSS properties. So if you're ever stuck on coding something, you can look at that list or just Google it and find out, or go to W3 Schools, which is a really helpful resource. So it's pretty easy to find out whichever property you want to code for.
All right, so now that we learned the basics of CSS, you all can go ahead and try to add some content to your site. Today, you can explore different CSS properties, and if you don't know where to start, there are some ideas on the screen. So like making a color coded by text type, having different fonts based on text size, and changing the background color. If you're stuck, there's an example on the right that makes the text we coded in HTML blue, and then we'll also be going over a sample in a couple of seconds, and then we'll close the meeting. All right, so assuming that you spent some time doing these mini projects, we will be moving on to the solution. All right, so here we have an About Me website. And if we look at the CSS section right here, so it's the middle one, instead of the HTML section is over here. We have selectors of H1, H3, and then there's a body and table right here. Don't worry about the divs because we will be learning that for next semester. So we can see properties like text align or color, and then also stuff like background color and margin being used. And then the background color can be changed within the body selector because it changes the whole website instead of just some specific element, which is really cool. And then this is also available on our website, so you can feel free to explore the other parts of the CSS section. Or if you want to review HTML, you can also go to the HTML section if you need a quick review of that. All right, cool. All right, and that's it for this meeting. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Again, this is our last meeting of the semester. We'll be sending out more information about our next meeting in January when we get back from winter break. There's the sign-in form again in case you weren't able to fill it out before on the first slide. So good luck with finals in a couple of weeks, and hope you all have a great winter break later this month, and see you all in 2022.